As the world welcomes 2026, a sense of unease lingers in the air. The usual joy and hope that mark the turning of the year are overshadowed by a growing sense of uncertainty. In cities across the globe, fireworks light up the night sky, but the celebrations feel muted, as if everyone is holding their breath, waiting for what comes next. Nowhere is this anxiety more palpable than in the Indo-Pacific, where the mood is tense and the future feels precarious. In Taipei and other major cities, crowds gather not just to celebrate, but to seek reassurance from the latest news, their faces illuminated by the glow of television screens rather than fireworks. The Taiwan Strait, long a flashpoint of geopolitical tension, has become the epicenter of global concern. What was once a symbol of uneasy peace now pulses with the threat of open conflict, drawing the eyes of the world to this narrow stretch of water. China's recent military drills around Taiwan are not mere posturing. They're a direct challenge to the US and its allies, pushing the region to the edge. The scale and intensity of these maneuvers have left little doubt about Beijing's intentions, raising fears that a miscalculation could spark a wider conflict. For the 23 million people of Taiwan, the stakes could not be higher. Families huddle together, watching the news with growing concern, wondering what the next days and weeks will bring. The threat is not just to their way of life, but to their very existence. Beyond Taiwan's shores, the world's technological heartbeat is at risk. Taiwan's semiconductor industry powers everything from smartphones to satellites, and any disruption here would send shockwaves through the global supply chain. A conflict in the Taiwan Strait would halt production lines, empty store shelves, and bring industries around the world to a standstill. The impact would be felt in every home, every business, and every economy. Financial markets would reel, stock exchanges would tumble, and headlines would scream of crisis. The economic shockwaves would be immediate and profound, affecting millions far beyond Asia. Tensions are felt everywhere, from the heavily policed streets of Taipei to the war rooms of Washington, where officials weigh every move with grave seriousness. The decisions made in these rooms could shape the fate of nations. Years of warnings, debates, and diplomatic maneuvering have led to this moment. The rhetoric that once seemed distant now threatens to become reality as the world stands on the edge of a crisis decades in the making. The world watches, holding its collective breath, uncertain if this is the prelude to war or the final test of diplomacy. Leaders and diplomats scramble to find a path back from the brink, knowing that the consequences of failure would be catastrophic. To understand how we arrived at this dangerous crossroads is to grasp the urgency of the moment. The lessons of history, the realities of power, and the hopes for peace all converge here, making the need for resolution more pressing than ever before. The roots of today's crisis stretch back to 1949, a year that marked a seismic shift in Chinese history and set the stage for the tensions we see today. The world was just emerging from the devastation of World War II, and China itself was in turmoil, its people exhausted by years of conflict and uncertainty. The Chinese Civil War, a brutal and bloody struggle between the nationalists and the communists, split the nation apart. Families were divided, cities were ravaged, and the future of China hung in the balance as two rival visions for the country clashed on the battlefield. In the aftermath, the defeated nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek, retreated to the island of Taiwan, bringing with them soldiers, government officials, and millions of refugees who feared communist rule. Taiwan became their stronghold, a place to regroup and preserve their vision of China. Meanwhile, on the mainland, Mao Zedong and the communists declared the birth of the People's Republic of China. The red flag was raised over Beijing, and a new era began, one that would reshape the nation's destiny and its place in the world. Both sides claimed to be the legitimate government of all China, fueling decades of hostility and suspicion. Propaganda, military standoffs, and diplomatic isolation became the norm, as each side sought international recognition and support. For years, the United States recognized Taipei as the seat of China's government, but in 1979, in a move that would redefine the region, Washington shifted its recognition to Beijing. This diplomatic pivot gave rise to the ambiguous One China policy, a carefully worded compromise that left Taiwan's status unresolved. To balance this shift, Congress passed the Taiwan Relations Act, pledging to help Taiwan defend itself. This act created a delicate equilibrium, allowing the US to support Taiwan militarily without formally recognizing it as a separate nation, a balancing act that has endured for over 4 decades. But under Xi Jinping, China's patience has worn thin. Reunification with Taiwan is now a core goal of the Chinese Communist Party, and Xi has made it clear that force remains an option if peaceful means fail. The rhetoric has grown sharper, and the stakes higher. Chinese warplanes and naval vessels now routinely cross into Taiwan's air defense zone, testing the island's military readiness and sending a message to both Taipei and Washington. These incursions are not just military maneuvers, they are psychological warfare, designed to wear down Taiwan's resolve. Meanwhile, Taiwan has transformed itself into a vibrant democracy, with free elections, a lively civil society, and a distinct identity that sets it apart from the mainland. Its very existence stands as a challenge to Beijing's authoritarian narrative, inspiring those who value freedom and self-determination. The conflict is no longer just about territory or sovereignty, it's become a battle of ideas, pitting democracy against authoritarianism, and self-rule against centralized control. The world is watching as these two systems collide on the global stage. This ideological clash has brought the standoff to a boiling point, with each side unwilling to back down. The Taiwan Strait has become one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints, where a single miscalculation could have far-reaching consequences. The fragile equilibrium that has kept the peace for decades is eroding, and world leaders are watching anxiously, aware that the fate of Taiwan could reshape the global order. The next moves in this high-stakes drama could redefine not just the future of Taiwan and China, but the entire region and perhaps the world, for generations to come. In late December 2025, China's military launched its most aggressive and complex drills to date, sending a clear and chilling message to the world. For several tense days, the People's Liberation Army simulated a full-scale blockade of Taiwan, a move that stunned observers and sent shockwaves through the region. The PLA deployed an unprecedented number of warships, bombers, and advanced drones, demonstrating a level of coordination and firepower never before seen in the Taiwan Strait. These forces encircled the island from every direction, including the usually less defended east, effectively cutting off Taiwan from the outside world. The maneuvers signaled not just military might, but a readiness to block any potential US or allied intervention, raising the stakes for all involved. Taiwan's defense ministry reported nearly 90 Chinese aircraft entering its air defense zone in a single day, along with 14 warships, creating an atmosphere of constant tension and uncertainty. Many of these aircraft crossed into sensitive airspace, testing Taiwan's defenses and readiness to respond at a moment's notice. Chinese forces practiced cutting off Taiwan's ports and airspace, causing massive disruptions. Over 850 flights were canceled or rerouted, stranding thousands of travelers and halting vital trade. The message was unmistakable. China has the capability to isolate Taiwan and disrupt global commerce at will, threatening the world's supply chains. These weren't just routine exercises, they were a chilling rehearsal for a possible invasion, with amphibious landings and live-fire drills simulating real combat. The world took notice, as international headlines blared warnings and the United Nations called emergency meetings to address the crisis. The drills showcased not only China's growing military reach, but also its willingness to use force to achieve its goals, no matter the global consequences. Markets trembled as the world saw how easily China could disrupt global trade, sending shockwaves through economies and supply chains everywhere. The world now faces the sobering reality of a potential conflict in the Taiwan Strait, one with consequences that could reshape the global order for years to come. Taiwan met China's show of force with defiance and resolve. The military went on high alert, scrambling jets and activating missile systems, while leaders condemned Beijing's aggression. Rather than panic, Taiwan projected calm and readiness, releasing footage of its own forces in action. The island's porcupine strategy focuses on making invasion costly, with advanced air defenses and US support. The people's resilience is their greatest asset. Decades under threat have forged a strong national identity. Instead of demoralizing Taiwan, China's intimidation has only strengthened its unity and determination. The world is witnessing a democracy refusing to yield, no matter the odds. The US, Taiwan's key backer, faces a perilous dilemma. A massive U.S. arms sale to Taiwan triggered China's fury, but withholding support risks emboldening Beijing. The return of Donald Trump to the presidency has reintroduced ambiguity. His comments downplaying the crisis have unsettled allies. Japan and South Korea, reliant on U.S. security, now question America's resolve. If Washington's commitment wavers, the deterrent against Chinese aggression could collapse. Japan's leadership has signaled a willingness to intervene, highlighting divisions among U.S. allies. The lack of a unified front weakens deterrence and increases the risk of miscalculation. For Taiwan, the question is not just U.S. capability, but willingness to act. In this high-stakes environment, uncertainty is the greatest danger. The crisis threatens not just peace, but the global economy. The Taiwan Strait is a vital shipping lane. Any conflict would cripple trade and send prices soaring worldwide. At the heart of the risk, semiconductors. Taiwan produces 90% of the world's advanced chips, powering everything from phones to cars. A halt in production would paralyze industries and trigger a tech crisis. Financial markets are already jittery, with rising insurance costs and investor anxiety. A war would spark a global recession, shattering supply chains and destroying trillions in value. Ordinary people would feel the pain through inflation, job losses, and economic uncertainty. The world's prosperity is tied to peace in the Taiwan Strait. The crisis is reverberating across the Indo-Pacific. Japan, dependent on sea lanes near Taiwan, faces a direct threat if China seizes the island. Prime Minister Takaichi's hawkish stance signals Japan's readiness to act. South Korea and the Philippines are also on edge, deepening security ties with the U.S. as China's ambitions grow. America's wavering signals force allies to consider building up their own militaries, risking a regional arms race. The reliability of the U.S. as an ally is under scrutiny as never before. China's drills have pushed countries like Australia and the Philippines closer to Washington, even as doubts linger. The Taiwan crisis is now a multilateral security emergency, threatening the entire region's peace. Security experts warn the risk of miscalculation is at its highest in decades. China's confidence, Taiwan's defiance, and U.S. unpredictability create a volatile mix where a single incident could spark war. Beijing may misread Washington's ambiguity as weakness, a potentially catastrophic error. With so many forces in close proximity, even a minor accident could ignite a wider conflict. The world must recognize these drills are not just tests, they could become reality at any moment. The Taiwan Strait crisis is no longer a distant threat, it's a global emergency. A war here would draw in nuclear powers, devastate economies, and shatter the world order. The stakes are existential. Freedom, prosperity, and the rules-based system are all at risk. The only path forward is de-escalation, deterrence, and clear diplomacy. The world must speak with one voice, making the cost of aggression unacceptably high. Peace in the Taiwan Strait is essential for global stability and our shared future. The fight for Taiwan's future is a fight for the kind of world we all want to live in.